Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This video is going to be part 2 from a series of drum mixes, and this video is going to cover everything about EQ. So last video I covered input utility and phase and everything like that, and this one is just dedicated to EQ. Make sure you subscribe so you're notified when I come out with the next part of this video, otherwise let's jump right in. Moving on to close mic EQ. I've got our raw snare sound here with nothing going on. This is what it sounds like. Okay, so this is the EQ that was there when I got it. This high shelf is good. There's a lot of detail up there. This low boost right here is not doing any favors, because the bulk of the body of the snare is actually found a lot higher. Probably between 100 and 200. So if I boost this and sweep around, so that's right there is where the body of it is. But I like to always start and cut out mud from the mid area. So I can hear it's really ringy, and there's also a big muddy mid range. So I'm going to boost up in the mids and find where all that mud is. Yeah, all that's garbage right there. Take it out. Okay, next I want to attenuate that ring specifically. Oops, did the wrong thing. Right there. A ringy snare is definitely, you dial it to taste, but it's good to know where to find it and how to get a band there so you can control how much ring is on your snare. So definitely going to pull a lot of that. You've got ring right here, as much of it as you want. And then I'm actually going to roll off a lot of low end because there's nothing going on below 100 especially, so we want to keep that clean for the kick and floor tom. So to boost some body right there, add back in the high shelf. So here's without the EQ, here's with it. Much better. If you wanted, there's some more mud right here below 400. Pull that a little bit too. Or you could boost some more snap around 3K. Whatever you're feeling like it needs. Okay, next we'll do the kick. So same thing with kick, big mud in the middle somewhere. Right here isn't great, so I'm going to pull that. And as soon as I do that, we're left with just the good parts of the kick. We've got a big thumpy low end, and we've got some detail on top. Add some low end oomph there. I'm actually going to roll off below that because we don't need 20 and 30. And then we can add some highs. The snap of the kick is found anywhere between 2K and 5K. That's nice right there. Here's without the EQ. Here's with it. Our kick and snare together. Just without the EQ. Much cleaner. Okay, we'll move on to first tom. So I like to look for where the tom is hitting the fundamental, and that's kind of around 160. So we know that tom's pitch is around 160 hertz. And then what we're going to do is cut the lows below that point. So depending on the EQ you're using, if you're using Logic, you can actually use the one low filter to boost the fundamental where you want to and cut off below that. So that's what I'm going to do for these toms. Yeah. And then we're going to do our big mud cut in the middle. There, get it gone. There's a little bit of ring. I'm not sure if it's from this tom or from the other ones, but it sounds like it's around 300. I'm going to pull that down too. There we go. And then we'll add some attack. That could be anywhere from 2K on up. So I like around 4K. Then we can also add a shelf to get that really top end polish. That's not great in there, so I'm going to pull that down a little bit. Great. And boost the lows a little more. Awesome. So now we can hear that all together. Nice. And for the next tom, I'm just going to copy that EQ over. A lot of the spots will be the same, except the fundamental low end is going to be a little bit lower. So this is kind of around 112, 120. That's still mud. That's still mud. Still kind of papery. Everything else is good. Next EQ on the floor tom, same thing. I'm going to copy the second tom. It's going to be really similar, except everything's a little lower. There it is, around 80. Lower than that. I'm going to look for some low mud here. Okay, check this again. Still muddy. Some kind of papery sound right there. Cut that out. Okay, moving on to our overheads. For the overheads, we're not going to make as dramatic of moves as the close mics because the overhead mics are more of a full picture of the drum kit. So I'll start off and see what's going on. I like to start with one overhead and get it sounding how I want, and then I'll copy that to the second overhead and then pan them. So I'm going to clear this out. I'm going to start by cleaning up the low end. Most of this low end down here on the overheads is not going to be that usable. Actually, it's not bad. No, I don't hate that. But we're going to clean up kind of below 100 or 80, somewhere in there, because we want that impact to come from our kick mic. Let me get a bigger section here. So we're going to gently find some mud and pull it out. That'll kind of help our drums to pop a little more and our cymbals to pop out. A lot of cymbals have a weird resonance buildup, kind of in the lower mids. And so I like to find that and gently pull that out as well. Right there, so I'll pull that down. That could honestly be one band. So I'm just going to take this and kind of split the difference. And then I'm going to look for some cool presence or detail up in this upper area and boost that a little bit. This is too harsh. I find like that 2K area gives it a nice natural feel. So here's without it. And then I'm going to copy that over to the second overhead, bring him in, and then I'm going to hard pan these guys. And since we aligned the phase on these earlier, that snare is going to be dead center in the image now. And then we can bring in our snare mic and it'll occupy that center territory. Next, I'm going to pan my toms around in the stereo image. One thing I noticed about this session, since there's no room mics, we have to cheat as much width as we can out of the overheads. And that's one of the reasons why I hard panned them. Depending on your session and kind of the feel you're going for, you might not want to do that. But I'm trying to get these feeling super wide because we don't have a lot of stereo content with this drum kit. Actually, the only stereo content we have is these overheads. So that's why I hard pan them. We're trying to make these few mics sound as big as possible. And so I'm going to pan these toms around. I know tom 1 is more over by the overhead. Tom 2 is somewhere in the middle. And then tom 4 is all the way over by the ride. Great. I'm going to bring in this EAD10 and see what we have. Super squashed. I'm going to pull out some of that snare ring and mud. And maybe roll off a little bit of that harsh top end. And then that's it. I'm just going to blend him in. I'm not going to compress it because it's super compressed already. Kind of add some impact to the mid-range. I'd strongly recommend when you're learning how to mix drums and starting with your own drum mixes, just get a good handle on the EQ before you start to add in like bass enhancement and some other fancy stuff. You just want to make sure you have good, clean audio and you're cutting out mud and enhancing good parts of the sound. And that's going to get you 80% of the way there. And then everything else is just improvement from that point, and you're not trying to fix anything. Thanks so much for watching. That wraps up part 2 of my drum mixing series. Next week's video is going to be all about drum compression, so make sure you subscribe and you'll be notified when I come out with that one. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.